Hello, hello. Thank you guys for tuning in. Happy Thursday. I have been loving doing all these new episodes, sharing a little bit more about my personal life, my personal experiences. So, this is going to be another one in that realm. So, today we're going to be talking about quantum leaping. And so, you guys know I've been on this journey of learning about the metaphysical and the quantum world a little bit more. And so, I did this crazy thing a few months ago. I wish I would have written down the date that I actually started doing this because I feel like life has just been like a whirlwind this year. I can't believe it's almost May. And at the beginning of the year, I don't really remember when. Sometime like January to March, I was like, okay, I really want a quantum leap this year. And I didn't really know what that meant, except for I knew I wanted to just like jump into a brand new timeline where I let go of just like all of the limiting beliefs and I actually started showing up as my higher self rather than maybe this smaller version of self that felt a little bit more comfortable, right? So I basically just wanted to shift timelines and see if quantum leaping would help me do that, right? So whenever I first started this journey, I didn't really know what a quantum leap was. So I looked up the definition before I recorded this. The definition of a quantum leap is sudden, significant, and often unexpected advance, breakthrough, or increase. So, is this something that maybe you can prompt a little bit on your own? Absolutely. But is this something that ultimately does have to be in line and co created with the universe? Absolutely. So, those were two really big things that were coming through is like, based on this definition and like what my intentions were, a lot of my intentions were like I knew I was playing small because I had fears of being seen and being judged and all the things, that we go through. And during that time period, I really limited myself. And then I was sort of like, okay, time to stop doing that and step into this new timeline. I had no idea how I was going to do that, but as the universe works, they sent me the resources. So a while ago, probably end of last year, I bought this book, and my intention was buying this book to try to learn how to activate my Merkaba, which is your light body. And in the world of energy healing, that's kind of like maybe like another step up, right? Is this light body work and activation? So, of course, in the book that I got, it is an entire section about quantum codes, quantum leaping, using quantum codes to manifest all this stuff, right? So I end up with sort of the resources or the tools to kind of contribute on my end to my quantum leap as all this is unfolding over the past few months, right? So I get to the part of the book where there's like the quantum codes, and it's about the same time that I'm like, okay, I really want to just like quantum leap into a new timeline. I don't know how to do that. Can you guys like send me some resources? And then, of course, that's when I stumbled upon the page in the book because that's how it works. When you're ready, the next step is revealed. And for me, that took me so much time to learn because I would be like, what's the next step? And very much the answer is always like, you'll know when you need to know. And I'm going to derail for a moment because I feel like there's somebody that needs to maybe hear and trust in the process. And I'm going to give you guys a couple examples of what I mean. So, whenever I had an office space in downtown Greensboro that I had a lease on that I ran my business out of. My lease was about to run up. I had maybe 3 months left of my lease. I knew I needed to move, but I had no idea where the F I needed to move to. And I kept being like, hey guys, what am I supposed to do? And they were like, when the time's right, you'll know. And I was like, ooh. And sure enough, I ended up moving my in person business to a holistic collective that's local. And I have a friend that does a monthly circle out of there. So I'm at her monthly circle, and immediately I have like my guides come in, like, this is where you're supposed to be. And I thought they meant like a part of the circle. And I was like, yeah, I love coming here. And they were like, no, 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 for sure that. But also, like, this is where you're supposed to start hosting like your business stuff out of. I was like, oh. So, I feel like there's somebody who needs to hear that message that like you don't have to have all the answers. You can't just wait for them to come in. And is it going to be super hard? Absolutely. But after you start to have some of these experiences where you do trust and then it does come in ways you cannot expect, you start to be like, okay, I really am taken care of and supported by the universe, and I don't have to try to control, right? And that's taken me a long time to learn. Okay, so back to where I was. This is why I take notes because I love to do like little side stories with you guys and just share like how this stuff is like showing up in my real life. But I do have some notes to keep me on track. Okay, so I decided to use these codes to try to quantum leap or create that experience for myself. So let's talk about what this was like. Very first, if you've ever heard the term ego death, that's the best way to describe the first part of it, right? The first part was basically this release of a lot of realization that I was playing small because I was worried about my perception of what other people's perception is, right? Like, I don't even know what other people's perception is, but I'm limiting myself and my reach because I'm worried about what if so and so sees this video, or what will so and so think of, what about this person from my old life, what would they, and it doesn't fucking matter, right? If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, that's where you're supposed to be, right? And so the first piece was just this huge release of like anger, old limiting beliefs, old patterns, the realization that I had all of these people that, like, in the back of my mind, I subconsciously was worried about what they thought about what I was doing. And I had to release all of that, right? Because no matter what you do, you're never going to please everybody or get along with everybody or whatever. And all you have to do is show up and be authentic, and the right people will find you. And it's taken me literally 33 years to learn that. So you guys heard that, right? All right. So release was the first part. Then it went into quick endings. So the quick endings and the new day to day kind of came at the same time, where my guides were like, the day to day you have right now is not going to be the same day to day that you're going to have in the next like 2-3 months. And I was like, okay. So I'm kind of getting this new outline of like my day to day, what that's going to look like in terms of like work days, off days, a lot of stuff, right? Just kind of with some things I'm shifting in my business, and some of like the normal hours I would offer things versus some of the new things I'm kind of stepping into. So it's just a lot of moving pieces, right? So as I'm doing this, I go on a journey to a fair, and I end up getting into a car accident, and my car ends up getting totaled, and I end up having to like immediately let go of that car and move into a car that was definitely more aligned for me, right? And it seems like a small thing, but for me it was significant because the car that I was driving is a car that was my grandmother's and then my father's. They both passed, and so I knew that it did not serve. Like, I could fit in there, and T could uncomfortably fit in the back. Me, T, and Brandon could not all fit in this car. So like I knew, like, from a practical standpoint, got to get rid of it, but like there was this piece of me that was holding on to it, right? I very much got this download of like, this is the car's end of journey. And I was like, no, 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 you got a new family to go to. And then I ended up getting into an accident where legitimately like the most damage that could be done to the car and it still be drivable and me still be hurt. I mean, me not be hurt. I'm perfectly fine. Nothing bad happened to me. Also, I had like no less than 10 spell jars that were in my stuff that fell and broke during this. So I'm like, thanks, spell jars and spirit guides, for protecting me. Again, like I didn't know what the fuck to expect when I started doing this quantum leap thing. I just thought it would be easy. I would just wake up and be in a new timeline, and like you can eventually wake up and be a new timeline, but like you've got to release the old shit and go through the stuff that you've been suppressing in order to get there. And I am the queen of suppression, right? If you guys don't know my background, I struggled with addiction for all of my 20s. And so basically when I was about 30 and started in recovery, I realized like, oh, every uncomfortable thing I've ever experienced, felt, been through, acknowledged, I have just suppressed that with some form of substance instead of allowing myself to feel and heal through that experience and move on, right? So that was all a lot, right? And so now I'm in a stage where I have a new car, I have kind of a new day to day. I have definitely some things shifted in my business in terms of priorities that I'm working on day to day. And now I'm starting to see a little bit more balance unfold between work and personal, right? For a little while, I feel like it was just like so chaotic. I was like, what the fuck is going on, right? And like with the car accident thing, like I knew it was going to be fine. Like, I don't know how to explain this, but I had this incredible sense of peace of like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I know it's going to be fine, right? Um, so it's funny because I think I started out trying to hop into a new timeline in one way, and what I learned is what I actually needed to do was create a life for myself without burnout that I really enjoyed day to day and allow it to expand and flourish from there. Like, I needed to go back in and do some work on the foundation before I could maybe scale to do the things that I am starting to bring in now, right? So I have also been trying to work with my ADHD brain and do my work around that. What I mean is, like, I used to try to be like, okay, in the morning I want to get content done first thing, and then I want to post it in the afternoon. But actually, what works for my brain is like in the morning, like doing 3 hours of deep work that is involves little to no communication, right? So that's like my admin, my brainstorming, my planning, my whatever I have to do for like the next fair I'm working or retreat I'm planning or whatever, right? And then the afternoon is actually when I'm really good on doing this sort of stuff, right? So I started to actually be like, okay, what do I like to do and when do I actually feel the passion to do it? Because if you're going to do something like creating content, you have to do it when you're passionate, not when you're forced, or people can tell, right? So I rearranged my work hours to do basically everything that I need to get done, but around when works best for just the way my brain works. So let's talk about what's next. So that's everything that's been unfolding for me. I'm still definitely in the middle of it. I literally told my guides yesterday, I was like, I'm tired of feeling like I'm being in a pressure cooker. And they were like, well, you did Quantum Leap. And I was like, well, yeah, there's that. So I definitely think that I don't know how long this whole process is going to take. Like right now, I can definitely see a new timeline emerging, but I'm not fully in it, right? I'm kind of still like, I wouldn't say one foot in the old timeline, but like I'm kind of in this middle phase where some of the new timeline has come, and some of it I'm just like, hopefully you come. I don't know, you know. Okay, so let's talk about what's next. So one thing I'm working on is online courses. I looked at my Instagram stats, which is where I post probably the most content is Instagram. I am an Instagram girly. I love it. My account's at A Holistic Awakening if you don't follow me, but that's where I post a ton of stories and reels and all this fun stuff if you want to see what I'm up to day to day. So when I look at my stats there, so most of my classes I host in person in Greensboro. Looking at my stats, only 3% of my audience that I engage with is actually in Greensboro. So my guides were immediately like, okay, 97% of your audience can't even access what you're teaching, so make it all available online. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm working on building out my Reiki course is going to be the first thing, from zero to Reiki Master online course. Then from there, I'm going to do an Akashic Records class. I'm going to I have had the 5D membership and I haven't really been sure what to do about it. And I got the clarity that I'm definitely supposed to switch that to more of like a mystery school type setup. So I'll tell y'all more about that as it unfolds. Fair season. And oh, the other thing is I knew I was supposed to do a retreat this year, but I wasn't sure when or where or what, right? So it was kind of one of those things where my guides were like, just when you're supposed to start working on it, you will, right? I was like, cool. So I trusted in the process. Yesterday, bam, it just came through. Here's when you're supposed to do the retreat. Here's some things you're supposed to move to make that possible. And I gotta look up the spiritual significance of what is that? A stink bug? Oh, it's a stink bug. Okay, you're harmless. Let me help you. Oh, he's fine. Okay. Whew. Brief interruption. So immediately I had the fair or the retreat download come in. This is where it's supposed to be. Here's, some things you're supposed to move around in the time period. So immediately I start like putting it all together. And basically I have almost everything that I need to do in terms of kind of like a marketing strategy that came through and where and like everything, right? So it's interesting because now I'm just in the flow and things are coming easier because I'm not forcing. And I do feel like a lot of the quantum codes that I've been working with have allowed for that additional release. So let me know if you guys want to learn more about quantum codes or if that's something that you guys are at all curious about. I'm going to do a part two. I thought I was going to do a part two this week, but it turns out this is just like all still unfolding and I don't really know so this is basically the update I have for right now. So I'll give you guys a quantum leap update part two whenever I feel like I've stepped into that new timeline a little bit more to have more to share with you guys. Maybe that'll be next week, next month, I don't know. So yeah, that's what I have to share with you guys. If you want to follow along with what I'm doing with the retreat, hop to my Instagram. I'm doing a wait list and I'm doing polls on my stories to basically curate each day to be what you guys want it to be. So I have like a rough outline and then I'm pretty much like, okay, what if these ideas do you guys like? And that's how I'm building it out. So if you want to be involved, see you on IG. And yeah, if you want to work with me one-on-one, you can book a virtual reading at the link in bio or a virtual Akashic Records class, and I will see you there. Happy healing!